HipagesFox SportsSEEKCarsalesRealEstateNews network. From some of music's biggest legends to Hollywood trailblazers, these are the stars who left us in 2017 and the surprising facts you didn't know. News Corp Australia Network, December 31, 20,179 to 40 am. From some of music's biggest legends to Hollywood trailblazers, these are the stars who left us in 2017 and the surprising facts you didn't know. Tom Petty, 66, the laid-back king of cool's sudden death in October, just days after completing his band's 40th anniversary tour, shocked and saddened fans. It also caused confusion due to initial reports that the dynamic Heartbreakers frontman was dead when he was still fighting for his life. Petty, best known for hits like Free Fallin', Don't Come Around Here No More and American Girl, died at UCLA Medical Center after suffering cardiac arrest at his home in Malibu. It's shocking, crushing news. Petty's friend and traveling Wilburys bandmate Bob Dylan told Rolling Stone in a statement shortly afterwards, "I thought the world of Tom. He was a great performer, full of delight, a friend, and I'll never forget him." Little known fact, Petty's abusive childhood. He spoke of being regularly beaten by his father, and marriage breakdown led to a secret heroin addiction in the 1990s. He later went into treatment, describing the drug as an ugly effing thing. Jerry Lewis, 91, comedy legend. Lewis, famed for his partnership with Dean Martin, was one of Hollywood's most complicated figures. A comic genius, his legacy also included more than $2.5 billion raised for the Muscular Dystrophy Association through his annual Labor Day telethon in the U.S. But his reputation soured when he was forced to apologize for making homophobic slurs on camera as well as racist and misogynist jokes. His off-screen persona was in stark contrast to his slapstick humor as he battled numerous illnesses and a prescription drug dependency. Little known fact, Lewis' infamous Holocaust movie, The Day the Clown Cried, has only been seen by a handful of people and is considered to be one of the most notorious lost films in movie history. Chris Cornell, 52, one of rock's most powerful singers, Chris Cornell channeled his dark side into his grunge classics. It would finally get the better of him. Born in Seattle, Cornell would become synonymous with the city's grunge movement, his band Soundgarden joining the likes of Nirvana and Alice in Chains. He also had a successful solo career. The father of three was found dead in his Detroit hotel room on May 18, just hours after performing with the reformed Soundgarden. His wife, Vicky, later said she missed the signs of addiction, and blamed the singer's prescription use of prescription drugs for altering his state of mind before he hung himself. Little known fact, Cornell's Bond theme song You Know My Name, for Casino Royale in 2006, was only the second song not to have the same title as the movie and the first theme performed by an American man. Chester Bennington, 41. The death of Linkin Park frontman Chester Bennington in July, just months after his close friend Chris Cornell's suicide, left fans devastated. Bennington died of suicide by hanging in his Los Angeles home on Cornell's 53rd birthday, a week before he was due to go on a North American tour with Linkin Park. His autopsy revealed that he was under the influence of alcohol at the time of his death. Bennington went to rehab in 2006 and appeared to be sober in the years after, Rolling Stone reports. But friends say he suffered a relapse in late 2016. The star had always been open about his struggles with addiction and depression. His troubles stemmed from an abusive childhood, cruelly abused by an older male friend. He turned to drugs and alcohol as a teen to numb the pain. Rolling Stone's Corey Grow writes, Bennington poured his experiences into Linkin Park's songs, which mixed his soul-bearing screams with Mike Shinoda's rapping and the band's lumbering riffs for a sound that dominated the pop charts for much of the 2000s. TMZ reported that Bennington's wife, Talinda, had informed the authorities of the singer's previous attempt at death by suicide, including one time in 2006 when he left the house with a gun after drinking heavily. But his suicide still came as a shock to his friends, with one saying he was on top of the world and excited about his upcoming tour and Linkin Park's new album One More Light. Little known fact, Bennington was the father of 6 children ranging in age from 21 to 7. Malcolm Young, 64, with his quiet and unassuming manner, legendary Australian guitarist and AC/DC co-founder Malcolm Young was often described as the band's engine. While his younger brother Angus was the public face of the band, Malcolm Young was its key writer and leader. Young's family said in a statement he had been suffering from dementia for several years. It is with deepest sorrow that we inform you of the death of Malcolm Young, beloved husband, father, grandfather and brother, the statement said. Renowned for his musical prowess, he was a songwriter, guitarist, performer, producer and visionary who inspired many. From the outset he knew what he wanted to achieve, and along with his younger brother took to the world stage, giving their all at every show. Nothing less would do for their fans. Little known fact, although Malcolm's two older brothers found success in the music industry, their father still made Malcolm work as a mechanic in a bra factory after leaving school at 15. "I've never felt like a pop star. This is a 9-to-5 sort of gig," he told Rolling Stone in 2008. "It comes from working in the factories, that world. You don't forget it." George Young, 70, a member of the Easy Beats and older brother of AC/DC, Angus and Malcolm Young, George Young would become of the greatest songwriters and producers in Australian history, with his former bandmate Harry Vanda. George's career was synonymous with Albert Music, the record label and production house which has been home to dozens of Australian acts from Stevie Wright to John Paul Young, who is no relation. After his death, AC/DC paid tribute to their beloved brother and mentor. "It is with pain in our heart that we have to announce the passing of our beloved brother and mentor George Young. Without his help and guidance there would not have been an AC/DC, they posted on their website. "As a musician, songwriter, producer, advisor and much, much more, you could not ask for a more dedicated and professional man. As a brother, you could not ask for a finer brother. For all he did and gave to us throughout his life, we will always remember him with gratitude and hold him close to our hearts." Among Australian musicians and songwriters, Young was considered a rock god, Kathy McCabe writes. He also happened to be one of the most reclusive rock stars on the planet, never attending awards or events. Little known fact, George Young met his fellow Easy Beats members at the Villawood migrant hostel in Sydney's western suburbs, where the Young family landed after immigrating to Australia in 1963. Anita Pallenberg, 75, the longtime partner of Rolling Stone Keith Richards, Anita Pallenberg was one of the 20th century's great fashion icons. Eclectic and bohemian, her influence on the Stones' music and image was legendary. But she also struggled with heroin addiction and alcoholism throughout her life. She died from hepatitis C complications in June. Modeling and acting comprised the bulk of Pallenberg's career. Her most notable film roles include a supporting turn in the 1968 Jane Fonda cult classic Barbarella and Performance, a 1970 crime drama co-starring Mick Jagger. During their relationship, Pallenberg and Richards had 3 children, Marlon, Angela and Tara, who tragically died of cot death at 10 weeks. In later years, Pallenberg got her life back together, studying for a degree in fashion and textiles at Central Street Martins in London. Little known fact, Pallenberg's relationship with Richards abruptly ended in 1979 when teenager Scott Cantrell allegedly killed himself in her bed while playing Russian roulette with a stolen handgun in her presence. Richards was recording with Stones in Paris at the time of the shooting. Chuck Berry, 90, the rock and roll pioneer, was undoubtedly a musical genius. His songs, including Johnny B. Good and Maybelline, inspired generations of musicians. His work staked out the territory, in both sonics and lyrics, for a new art form, the New York Times said at the time of his death in March. In the decade from 1955 to 1965, the Times eulogized, he created a body of work filled with dozens of perfectly crafted masterpieces. "If you had tried to give rock and roll another name," John Lennon once said, "you might call it Chuck Berry," but there was a dark side to Berry, who in private life was a notorious misogynist and alleged UAL predator. In 1962, married with 4 children, he was sentenced to 3 years for having UAL relations with a 14-year-old girl and transporting her across state lines. Little known fact, in 1990, Berry was busted for placing a camera in the women's bathroom of his restaurant. Almost 60 victims of his voyeurism filed a class-action suit, which he settled. He was also arrested, but not charged, for possession of pornographic tapes. John Hurt, 77, Jen Hurt was widely regarded as one of Britain's finest actors. David Lynch, who directed him as Jos Bay Merrick in the 1980 film The Elephant Man, went one step further, describing him as simply the greatest actor in the world. The well-decorated actor's breakthrough role was in the 1978 film Midnight Express, which earned him a Golden Globe, a BAFTA and 2 Oscar nominations. The esteemed actor also had well-known roles in Alien, 1984, V for Vendetta and the Harry Potter series. Hurt was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in June 2015 but always remained optimistic, telling the Radio Times in August of the same year, "I can't say I worry about mortality." Little known fact, Hurt witnessed the horrific horse riding accident in which his long-term partner Marie-Lise Volpagliere was killed in 1983. They were out riding together in Oxfordshire when she was thrown from her horse and landed on her head on the road. Erin Moran, 56, best known for her role as the smart-talking Joni Cunningham on Happy Days. Erin Moran's life took a downward spiral when she left the 1970s sitcom. She reportedly spent her final days broke and living in a trailer park in Indiana, where she was found dead of a heroin overdose. After her short-lived spin-off Joni Loves Chachi was cancelled after 2 seasons, Moran had a number of brief roles over the years on shows including The Love Boat, Bolt and The Beautiful and Murder, she wrote. But in 2012, the actor was reportedly kicked out of her trailer park home in Indiana, along with her husband Steve Fleischman because of her hard-partying ways. She reportedly became homeless, bouncing from motel to motel as she battled drug addiction. Little-known fact, Moran and her husband were reportedly living off a dwindling sum of money, which was the result of a payout springing from a breach of contract lawsuit over merchandising filed by several Happy Days cast members in April 2011. Azzedine Alaia, 82, known as the King of Cling, Azzedine Alava was the couturier loved by some of history's greatest supermodels, including his longtime muse Naomi Campbell. He even designed Elle Macpherson's wedding dress when she married French photographer Gilles Ben-Simon in 1986. Vogue magazine described his garments as creations that molded the body into extraordinary proportions, the product of an obsessive craftsman who bears more resemblance to a sculptor than a fashion designer. He died of a heart attack after falling down the stairs at his home in Paris last month. Azzedine Alava was a true visionary, and a remarkable man. He will be deeply missed by all of those who knew and loved him, as well as by the women around the world who wore his clothes, said Vogue editor-in-chief Edward Enninful. The generosity of his spirit and genius of his designs will never be forgotten. The fashion legend's last collection will be shown in Paris next year, his couture house said, and a retrospective of his work will be held in London. Little-known fact, the Tunis-born Alava had actually trained as a sculptor in his youth before changing direction and moving into fashion. Nelson Ellis, 39, the tragic circumstances that led to the death of actor and playwright Nelson Ellis shocked Hollywood when his family revealed his heartbreaking final days. Ellis, who stole the show in True Blood as Lafayette Reynolds, struggled with drug and alcohol abuse for years. That battle ultimately cost the father of one his life in July when he attempted to withdraw from alcohol without medical supervision. In a statement, Ellis's family told how the popular star died of heart failure. After many stints in rehab, Nelson attempted to withdraw from alcohol on his own. According to his father, during his withdrawal from alcohol he had a blood infection, his kidneys shut down, his liver was swollen, his blood pressure plummeted, and his dear sweetheart raced out of control. On the morning of Saturday, July 8, after 4 days in Woodhull Hospital, Nelson was pronounced dead. Nelson was a gentle, generous and kind soul. He was a father, a son, a grandson, a brother, a nephew, and a great friend to those that were lucky enough to know him. Nelson was ashamed of his addiction and thus was reluctant to talk about it during his life. His family, however, believed that in death he would want his life to serve as a cautionary tale in an attempt to help others. Little-known fact, a graduate of the Juilliard School, Ellis was loved by True Blood fans so much that his character, which was killed off early in the book series, survived in the TV show. Jana Novotná, 49, former Wimbledon champion Jana Novotná passed away peacefully last month after a long battle with cancer, the World Tennis Association announced. A statement from the World Tennis Association read, "It is with deep sadness that the WTA announces the passing on Sunday, November 19, of Jana Novotná, the former WTA World No. 1 doubles and No. 2 singles champion." After a long battle with cancer, Jana died peacefully, surrounded by her family in her native Czech Republic. Aged 49, Novotná won the Wimbledon women's singles title in 1998 and was beaten by Steffi Graf in the 1993 final. She captured the hearts of fans when she burst into tears after losing to German great Steffi Graf in 1993 and was consoled by the Duchess of Kent. Novotná started crying when presented with the loser's trophy before the Duchess of Kent put a comforting arm around her and gave her a shoulder to shed her tears on during emotional scenes on center court. Little-known fact, when she finally won Wimbledon in 1998, Novotná became the oldest first-time Grand Slam singles winner in the Open era at 29 years and 9 months. Roger Moore, 89, starring in 7 James Bond films, the suave British actor was the longest-serving Bond so far. His relaxed style and use of the arched eyebrow made his portrayal of the franchise's most whimsical and ironic. In England, he had a long-running TV hit with The Street, playing Simon Templar. Moore died in Switzerland in May after a short battle with cancer, according to a family statement posted on Sir Roger's official Twitter account. "We know our own love and admiration will be magnified many times over, across the world, by people who knew him for his films, his television shows and his passionate work for UNICEF, which he considered to be his greatest achievement, the statement said. Little-known fact, Moore once said the upper-crust image he portrayed both on and off the screen was a cover for his shyness and timidity. He also said he was terrified of playing the scenes which were a key part of the Bond movies. Greg Allman, 69. Allman's death from liver cancer in May came just one day after he completed what would be his farewell album, Southern Blood. By the time Allman began planning the album, he had already defied the odds. He'd endured a liver transplant in 2010, but 2 years later was diagnosed with liver cancer, Rolling Stone reported. Born in Nashville, Tennessee, Allman was raised in Florida by a single mother. Allman idolized his older brother, Dwayne, eventually joining a series of bands with him. Together they formed the heart of the Allman Brothers Band before Dwayne died in a motorcycle crash in 1971, just as they were reaching stardom. In his 2012 memoir, My Cross to Bear, Allman said he finally felt brand new, at 50 after years of overindulging in women, drugs and alcohol. But hepatitis C ruined his liver, and after getting a transplant, it was music that helped him recover. Allman died mere months after the death of his Allman Brothers bandmate Butch Trucks. Little-known fact, Cher was Allman's third of 7 wives and the pair had a son, Elijah Blue Allman. Cher filed for divorce 9 days after their wedding because of Allman's heroin addiction, but they reconciled within a month and remained married until 1979 when they divorced. David Cassidy, 67. David Cassidy, the former teen idol who took the world by storm in the 1970s as the star of TV's The Partridge Family, was being treated for organ failure at a Fort Lauderdale, Florida hospital when he died. His publicist Joanne Geffen released a statement from his family. On behalf of the entire Cassidy family, it is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our father, our uncle, and our dear brother, David Cassidy. David died surrounded by those he loved, with joy in his heart and free from the pain that had gripped him for so long. Thank you for the abundance and support you have shown him these many years. The former teen heartthrob was rushed to hospital on November 16, requiring a liver transplant following a tumultuous few years. He had a turbulent personal life in recent years, including divorcing his third wife in 2014, filing for bankruptcy and being charged with drink driving 3 times between 2010 and 2014. Cassidy rose to fame in the early 1970s through the musical sitcom The Partridge Family, where he played the eldest of 5 siblings who embarked upon a musical career together. Little-known fact, The Partridge Family provided the launching pad for Cassidy's hugely successful solo career as a singer and pop idol. At the age of 21, he briefly became the highest-paid entertainer in the world. Mary Tyler Moore, 80. Beloved TV icon Mary Tyler Moore, who was credited with changing the face of womanhood, was hailed as a groundbreaking actress and a fearless visionary after her death in January. Playing a single, female news producer in The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Tyler Moore became a feminist icon. The show was the first to feature a never-married, independent career woman as its central character. Tyler Moore's health problems were well documented. She battled alcoholism and was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes early in the run of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, becoming a tireless diabetes advocate. Little-known fact, The Mary Tyler Moore Show was truly groundbreaking, introducing issues such as equal pay for women and premarital into a standard sitcom format. Hugh Hefner, 91. Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, the pipe-smoking hedonist who built up an empire estimated to be worth more than $40 million, was always a divisive figure. Hefner started Playboy with just $600 of his own money and borrowed $8,000 from his mom. My father declined. He was an accountant, and he didn't feel that a magazine was a good business investment, Hefner told CNN in 2003. My mother took me aside and said that she had some money of her own, and she would give